The United States Navy dispatched 4 warships over this past weekend following an incursion of 11 military vessels from Russia and China operating near Alaska's Aleutian Islands.
Real reason the United States bought Alaska from Russia. Alaska, the largest state in the United States, is known for its rugged landscapes, diverse wildlife, and vast resources. Did Russia sell Alaska to the United States? And why did the U.S. make the move? Will this be controversial or fruitful? So let's explore why the United States bought Alaska from Russia. In the early 19th century, Russia had a tough time holding onto its colonies in Alaska. The fur trade, which had been a big source of money, was falling apart because people were killing too many animals and there were too many people buying the fur. It meant that the Russian Empire was losing a lot of money. Furthermore, it is essential to note that Russia had legitimate concerns regarding the potential interference of other nations, specifically Britain, who might attempt to seize control of Alaska. Russia was determined to safeguard its territory and ensure its long-term security. By obtaining power in Alaska, Russia aimed to protect its valuable resources and maintain a strategic advantage in the region. So, the Russian Empire had to decide what to do. It couldn't keep trying to hold on to Alaska when it was losing money and was in danger of losing the land. The decision posed a great challenge, causing the esteemed Russian Empire to grapple with uncertainty and deliberation. The weight of the situation left them pondering their options, unsure of which path to embark upon. One option was to sell Alaska to another country, which would mean that Alaska would get some money for the land and the other country would get a new place to live. Although it may not have been the most ideal choice, it's worth considering that it could have potentially been the most optimal option available given the circumstances. Another option was to keep trying to hold on to Alaska, though it was losing money and was in danger of losing the land. This strategic decision was undeniably fraught with risk, as it carried the potential for dire consequences if Russia were to relinquish control over the disputed land. The ramifications of such a loss would have plunged the nation into a myriad of challenges and difficulties, impacting its political stability, territorial integrity, and socio-economic standing. It is evident that careful consideration and meticulous planning were imperative in order to mitigate these potential repercussions and safeguard Russia's interests effectively. So, what did Russia do? It decided to sell Alaska to the United States. It was a big decision because it meant Russia gave up control of a big piece of land. But it was also wise because it got Russia money and helped to protect its territory. In the end, selling Alaska to the United States was an excellent choice for Russia. It helped protect the land and get money, and it allowed the U.S. to grow and become a bigger country. So though it was a difficult decision, it was good for Russia. In the early 1860s, the United States had a man named William Seward who was the Secretary of State. He was very ambitious and wanted the United States to have more land. The visionary leader pondered the notion that expanding the country's territorial boundaries would not only amplify its physical size but also fortify its influence and might. With an astute understanding of geopolitics, he believed that possessing a larger landmass would grant the nation a strategic advantage, empowering it to assert its dominance on a global scale. By acquiring additional territory, the leader envisioned an enhanced capacity to harness resources, bolster economic growth, and forge stronger diplomatic ties to neighboring nations. Seward thought that Alaska was a significant piece. He believed Alaska had a lot of things that would be useful to the country, like timber, minerals, and fish. These transformative factors have the potential to not only fortify the economy of our nation, but also elevate its standing on the global platform. By embracing these game-changing elements, we can pave the way towards prosperity and enhance our significance in the international arena. So Seward worked hard to try and get control of Alaska. He talked to the people in charge of Russia and tried to make a deal to buy the land. After investing considerable time and effort, Seward's persistent negotiations finally paid off as he successfully brokered an impressive deal with the Russians. Through his unwavering determination and skillful diplomacy, Seward was able to overcome numerous obstacles and reach a mutually beneficial agreement with our Russian counterparts. This remarkable achievement not only highlights Seward's exceptional negotiation prowess, but also solidifies his reputation as a masterful diplomat on the international stage. Taiwan's geographic difficulties make its ability to defend itself militarily more difficult. It is challenging for Taiwan to keep track of ships and aircraft from the mainland due to the Taiwan Strait, a confined body of water separating the two nations to the east. It is challenging for Taiwan to identify and follow threats coming from the mainland because the South China Sea to the west is a similarly large region. It is challenging to set up a comprehensive military defense system in Taiwan due to its topography. It is challenging to set up large-scale radar and missile systems due to the steep terrain and high mountains. Because of this, Taiwan's been forced to rely on more quickly deployable, smaller mobile defense systems. The Taiwanese government is invested in defensive technologies to deal with these issues. The Taiwanese Navy has purchased ships with anti-ship missiles, surface-to-air missiles, and cutting-edge radar systems. The Taiwanese Air Force is outfitted with cutting-edge fighter aircraft. The Taiwanese Army has also made investments in long-range artillery that can be used to hit targets on the mainland. Despite these improvements, Taiwan's military might is relatively modest. It is challenging for Taiwan to fend off a full-scale invasion due to the lack of a sizable standing military force. The Chinese military is technologically far more advanced than the Taiwanese military. In order to lessen the likelihood of a confrontation, the Taiwanese administration has worked to strengthen its diplomatic and economic connections with other nations.
Presence and unwavering support reassure the people of Taiwan that we are not isolated and we are not alone.
The geographical features of Taiwan also include rough terrain, which would make any invasion attempt more difficult. The island has hilly terrain that would be challenging for invaders to maneuver through and gain a secure foothold. The military of Taiwan also benefits from local terrain knowledge, which gives them an advantage in protecting their native country. The strength of Taiwan's military, with a modern radar network, surface-to-air missiles, and powerful anti-ship missiles that are now a part of Taiwan's defense capabilities thanks to major investments. These technologies enable Taiwan to recognize and neutralize incoming threats from the Chinese mainland. Rough terrain is another topographical aspect of Taiwan that would complicate any invasion attempts. The geography of the island is steep, making it difficult for invaders to traverse it and establish a firm foothold. The Taiwanese military gains an advantage in defending their home nation from their understanding of the local topography. Most notably, Taiwan's well-trained military force and effective air defense systems serve as examples of the country's strong military defenses. The Army, Navy, Air Force, and Special Forces Command of the Republic of China make up the Taiwan Armed Forces, commonly referred to as the Republic of China Armed Forces. The Taiwan Army is primarily in charge of land-based operations and is furnished with cutting-edge equipment and weapons. It includes multiple reserve troops in addition to about 130,000 active employees. The nation's maritime line of defense is to be protected by the Navy. It has a staff of about 40,000 people and is furnished with a range of ships, submarines, and planes.
Questions over whether Taiwan is prepared for what might come have never felt more pressing.
We are prepared to face every kind of challenge.
On the other side, the Air Force is in charge of air defense and is outfitted with fighters, bombers, and transport planes, helicopters, and other cutting-edge aircraft. On the other hand, the Special Forces Command is in charge of preparing and deploying specialized forces to counter any threats, fighter jets, surface-to-air missiles, and radar systems that make up Taiwan's robust air defense system. The radar systems used by the Taiwanese Air Force are the TPQ-37, AN-TPS-75, and APG-63. The aircraft employed by the Air Force include the F-16V, FCK-1AB, Mirage 2005, and F-5E-F fighters. The Tianqian family of surface-to-air missiles, which can intercept approaching missiles and aircraft, is another component of the air defense system. Taiwan has robust military defenses in addition to a well-developed infrastructure that allows it to promptly and efficiently address any security concerns. This consists of an advanced early warning system that can identify oncoming threats and enable the nation to react promptly and effectively. The nation is home to a vast network of air defense stations that are built to intercept incoming missiles and planes. Last but not least, Taiwan has a robust network of communications and intelligence networks, enabling the military and other government institutions to quickly exchange crucial information. To effectively oppose possible invasion scenarios, the Army is trained in a variety of warfare philosophies, including mechanized, amphibious, and guerrilla warfare. Protecting territorial seas and Taiwan's maritime security are the responsibilities of the Taiwan Navy. The fleet it manages includes cutting-edge warships, submarines, and patrol boats. The purchase of cutting-edge weaponry, like surface-to-air missiles and anti-submarine warfare helicopters, has significantly improved the Navy's capabilities. The task of preserving air superiority and carrying out air defense operations falls on the Taiwan Air Force. The F-16 Fighting Falcon, Mirage 2000, and Indigenous Defense Fighter are among the fighter jets it uses. Taiwan has also made investments in the domestic defense sector, creating cutting-edge homegrown aircraft like the F-CK-1 Qingkuo to improve its air combat capabilities. Taiwan's robust military defenses are an essential component of the nation's security plan. The nation's highly developed infrastructure and intelligence systems ensure that any threats to national security can be rapidly discovered and countered, while the nation's highly trained military force and advanced air defense system are essential elements of its defense system. Even in the face of multiple external threats, Taiwan has managed to maintain its safety and security because of its robust defense system. The stability of the region would be severely disrupted by an invasion of Taiwan.
Combat credible forces allied and together win wars. So if conflict happens, I'm confident we're prepared to fight it.
The United States, a longtime ally and protector of Taiwan, has vowed to protect Taiwan from any assault. This might result in a direct military battle between the two great world powers, raising the stakes and raising the possibility of a wider conflict. The possible effects on other nations in the region must also be taken into account. Many nations would see China's aggression as a direct danger to their own security, particularly Japan and South Korea. This might result in more militarization and destabilize the area even more. The economy of China, which depends greatly on foreign trade, will likewise suffer significantly. Plans by the Chinese government to invade Taiwan have raised objections both domestically and internationally. Internationally, the U.S. and other countries have made it clear that they strongly oppose China's aspirations to invade Taiwan. In addition to pledging to defend Taiwan from any military assault, the United States has stated that any invasion would be met with a resolute retaliation. Other nations in the region have also expressed their worries about a potential military clash between China and the United States and have issued warnings about the potentially destabilizing repercussions of such a battle, including Japan and South Korea. Chinese citizens at home have expressed concern that China and the United States would engage in a military conflict as a result of the invasion of Taiwan. This could lead to greater regional instability and have negative economic repercussions for China. The Chinese people are also concerned that the Taiwanese administration is not considering their interests and that an invasion of Taiwan would be illegal under international law. Due to Taiwan's significant role in global supply systems, an invasion would have far-reaching effects. The harm to China's economy would be further exacerbated by economic penalties implemented by other nations.
You might have to fight to defend Taiwan.
Sure. It's no doubt about that.
Right now, though, everyone is praying it won't come to that.
China's soft power and reputation abroad would suffer greatly. In response to China's assertive activities, the international community, including its trading partners and diplomatic allies, will probably remove itself from China. This might lead to a loss of support for China's foreign policy ambitions and undercut its efforts to portray itself as a responsible global power. To sum up, China's aggressive approach to invading Taiwan would have serious negative effects on both domestic and global levels. The risk of a direct military conflict with the United States, the potential for reaction, economic penalties, and harm to China's reputation globally all make such a move a high-stakes bet for the Chinese Communist Party. Serious domestic and global worries have been aroused by the China government's plan to invade Taiwan. A military clash between China and the United States may destabilize the entire area and have a huge negative impact on China's economy. Therefore, before moving forward with any plans to invade Taiwan, the Chinese government must consider the interests of the Taiwanese people as well as the concerns of other countries. International economic effects. Any attempt to invade Taiwan would have a negative impact on China's economy. With its strong manufacturing skills, high-tech businesses, and significant foreign investment, Taiwan is an important player in the global economy. Since many supply lines between the two countries are interwoven, the disruption brought on by an invasion would have a significant negative impact on China's own economy. China is well aware of these possible effects and the negative effects it might experience in the international community. An invasion of Taiwan might have devastating effects on the world economy. Any break in the supply lines connecting China and Taiwan would have a detrimental effect on the world economy. Businesses in China would suffer, as would those who depend on Chinese imports and exports. The issue would also require a response from the international community, which might result in a range of economic sanctions.
We have very close ties with China in many aspects, such as tourism and some commercial activities. I don't think we live in front line in Kinmen.
Even more disastrous would be the invasion's consequences for the global economy. The forced withdrawal of foreign corporations with investments in Taiwan would result in a considerable loss of cash. This would have a knock-on effect on the global economy, increasing prices and limiting access to products and services. Additionally, the ensuing political unrest may discourage foreign investment, further harming the world economy. It is obvious that an invasion of Taiwan would have negative economic effects on both the domestic and global economies. This is probably known to China, and it probably influences its decisions a lot. China must assess the cost of the invasion against the probable economic losses it would face in order to preserve its interest. Although it could be alluring to take a bold step, it is important to consider the potential financial consequences. First off, Taiwan is a major source of advanced technology and high-tech goods for China. Taiwan is one of the top manufacturers of semiconductors, computer hardware, and other electronics. Chinese businesses heavily rely on Taiwanese manufacturers and suppliers for vital parts of their products. For instance, the largest contract chip manufacturer in the world, Taiwan's TSMC, is providing chips to some of the greatest names in technology like Apple and Qualcomm. China's high-tech industries and capacity to create and export goods would be severely harmed by any disruption to the supply chain. Second, China gains indirectly from foreign investment to Taiwan, which is a popular destination for foreign businesses. To take advantage of Taiwan's highly qualified workforce and innovative manufacturing skills, many global corporations have established production plants there. These facilities act as crucial production hubs for exports, assisting Taiwan's integration into international value chains. Foreign businesses would probably move their investments and production elsewhere in the event of an invasion, harming Taiwan and China's economies. Additionally, China's standing as a trustworthy investment location would suffer greatly, which would result in a decline of foreign direct investment inflows. Thirdly, an invasion of Taiwan would have major repercussions for the rest of the world. The interconnectedness and dependence of the global community make any military attack or breach of territorial integrity a threat to peace and stability. Such measures may result in China facing economic sanctions, trade limitations, and diplomatic isolation from other nations. Particularly, the United States, which has established close economic links with the island, has emphasized its strong support for Taiwan. China will undoubtedly suffer severe economic repercussions from any aggressiveness against Taiwan, including trade disruptions and restrictions, higher tariffs, or possibly a full decoupling from the global economy. A Taiwan invasion would have a substantial negative impact on China's economic growth because of how heavily the Chinese economy depends on exports. Reduced export opportunities, declining foreign exchange reserves, and a drop in economic activity will be brought about by the potential loss of access to the Taiwanese market and the harm to China's international reputation. This would result in increased unemployment, social unrest, and a general decline in the standard of living for the Chinese people. Taiwan does not offer China any significant strategic value in terms of resources or territory. Therefore, it's unlikely that China would risk the political, economic, and military repercussions of an invasion. Off the coast of mainland China's southeast is the island country of Taiwan. Taiwan does not provide China with any significant strategic benefit in terms of resources or territory, despite being close to the mainland. Taiwan does not provide China with any natural resources or a tactical military advantage. It does not provide much in the way of strategic value due to its tiny size and lack of a strategic location. A Chinese invasion of Taiwan would have significant political, economic, and military ramifications, in addition to having no strategic benefit. A worldwide backlash and a regional conflict could result from such an action. Additionally, it would be expensive in terms of money and human lives. Taiwan's also a dynamic democracy with a robust economy and strong links to the U.S. This might lead to a coordinated resistance against any hypothetical Chinese invasion, which would complicate matters further. It is improbable that China would risk such a move, given the lack of strategic value and the potential repercussions of an invasion. Instead, China is more likely to stick with its existing strategy of applying political and economic pressure to annex Taiwan. It's also conceivable that in the future, the two parties could come to a diplomatic understanding that would permit Taiwan to continue to be independent while also preserving close ties to the mainland. Invading Taiwan would be an extremely expensive endeavor. The cost of mobilizing and equipping the necessary forces, transporting them to Taiwan, and sustaining them there would be a massive financial burden. It would be very expensive to invade Taiwan. It would be extremely expensive to gather and outfit the required soldiers, transport them to Taiwan, and provide for them while they were there. An invasion would likely cost hundreds of billions of dollars according to estimates. It would need a lot of people, ships, planes, tanks, and other vehicles to mobilize a big army. It would be necessary to ship all this equipment to Taiwan, which would incur enormous fuel costs. The expense of the invasion would also go up because a lot of people would need to be trained and equipped. It would be expensive to maintain the occupying forces. The expense of delivering fuel, food, medical supplies, and other supplies to the troops on a regular basis would go towards the invasion's overall cost. In addition, there would be a considerable expense for maintaining and replacing any equipment lost in battle. Finally, the cost of the invasion would rise due to the necessity of covering the cost of the operations personnel. It would be necessary to pay the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and marines who participated in the invasion, and doing so would be expensive. It would be exceedingly expensive to invade Taiwan. It would be expensive to gather required forces, outfit them, transport them to Taiwan, and provide for them while they were there. The U.S. submarine fleet continues to be a formidable threat to Chinese naval assets, and operating with stealth and precision, American submarines target and engage Chinese ships and submarines, inflicting significant damage on China's maritime capabilities. Their effectiveness in naval warfare plays a pivotal role in keeping Chinese naval forces at bay and protecting U.S. and allied interests in the region. As the war progresses, the stakes are high, and the situation remains fluid and unpredictable. Both sides are grappling with the consequences of their actions, facing heavy losses in personnel and equipment. The conflict's ramifications extend beyond the battlefield, with the geopolitical tensions and economic implications coming into play. As week 2 of the war unfolds, the air war continues to be a crucial battleground, heavily favoring the Allies. However, China still poses a significant threat with its J-20 stealth fighters and the deadly PL-15 missiles. The J-20s provide a challenge to fourth-generation Allied aircraft such as the F-15, F-16, and F-18, making air engagements fiercely contested. To gain an edge, the U.S. employs an innovative strategy known as the Rapid Dragon concept. This involves using transport aircraft to launch cruise missiles against Chinese bases, aiming to disrupt their air operations and logistics networks. Their primary targets are the Taiwanese leadership, including senior government and military officials. The goal is to destabilize the island and disrupt its defense efforts. However, the Taiwanese Special Forces, determined to protect their leaders, put up fierce resistance against the infiltrating Chinese operatives.
To me, 2027 is a year that we need to watch out. Xi Jinping is likely to go into his fourth term. If you look at the Chinese situation right now.
Despite the assassination attempts, the Taiwanese leadership remains resilient, taking necessary precautions and evading further attacks. The island's government continues to rally its people and military to stand united against the invading Chinese forces. As the war reaches its second week, the situation becomes increasingly complex. Both sides suffer heavy losses in their air fleets, which significantly impact their air capabilities. The U.S.-led coalition is determined to disrupt China's military and economic capabilities, utilizing its global network of allies and advanced military technology. China, facing mounting challenges in its air force and naval operations, must reassess its strategies and resources. The war has far-reaching consequences, with civilian targets in Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines caught in the crossfire, leading to tragic collateral damage. The conflict's intensity continues to escalate, with each hour bringing new developments and strategic shifts. The international community closely watches the unfolding events, aware of the potential implications on global stability and geopolitical dynamics. As the war stretches into its second month, China's air fleet is struggling to maintain its strength, increasingly relying on older jets as its more advanced aircraft face heavy losses in battles against the U.S. and allied forces. The Allies continue to demonstrate their superior air capabilities and putting immense pressure on the Chinese military and hampering their operations.
The war that people worry about, a great power war between China and the United States.
And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, please let us know in the comments below, and make sure you like and share our video with your friends and family and others who would be interested in our content. Also, we would like for you to please subscribe to our channel and make sure you press the bell icon to allow notifications so you always stay up to date with us. Thank you for spending time with us today, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next time. Thanks for watching.